Hello, I want to take a few minutes and update you on an issue that we're facing as a department. And it really goes to the safety of each of you and my responsibilities as your chief. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a number of reports of officers and personnel that have been impacted by unsanitary conditions, by potentially issues that they're picking up from the workplace, whether it's in the station or in the field. And I want to give you kind of a status of what we know and what we're doing about it and what I need help and support from you on. First, what we know is that we've had a number of reports of people with some bacterial infections or some skin issues that we've gotten prompt medical attention to, and they're recovering, and I'm thankful for that. Secondly, is that we're trying to understand how those conditions may involve their workplace, something that's happening at the station on a keyboard and a desk or someplace within one of our buildings, or is it something that they picked up while in the field on some type of encounter? We've taken some preemptive measures or some response to clean up those facilities, to surge resources, to sanitize work areas out of the abundance of caution that should it be coming from a station that we don't expose other individuals to those circumstances. We've also taken a step back to look at what our overall janitorial services are as a department. And I'm encouraged by the direct involvement of the mayor in this discussion as well as by the Board of Supervisors and some of our elected officials. Let me just say that this is a top priority for me and one that has our full attention. And as we move forward, I'm encouraged because already additional resources are being brought to bear. For example, in the central area, that station, which is multi-story and sits in the middle of Skid Row, has had a number of challenges relative to rodents, fleas, the cleanliness of the parking structure, as well as the interior of the building and the surrounding area. And just yesterday, this was a topic of discussion between the mayor, Mr. Royster, who's the general manager of Department of General Services, the department that's responsible for all of our janitorial and custodial services, as well as Rexon Park, that's responsible for the care and upkeep of the area around Central Station. We're working with our city attorney as well as to understand what additional requirements can we put on the surrounding area of Central Station to the encampments and other situations that we believe may be adding to the conditions that our officers and our men and women are experiencing there. What we've seen from the mayor and from the general services is that we're now going to see 7-day-a-week deployment of custodial services both in the day and night in multiple individuals. We've also been committed to their investment of a hospital-grade sanitizer it's a robot, believe it or not, but it's a piece of equipment that is well over $100,000 in expense, but what it'll afford us the ability to do is to bring it into various parts of the station and using modern technology sanitize those areas without having to spray things down. That item, in concert with an investment by the League, and let me just take a moment and say I appreciate the leadership of the League, and particularly Craig Lally, Gerardo Sandoz, Robert Harris, that have stepped into this conversation responsibly and not just encouraged us to exercise good practices, but also recognize that because of a shortage of resources, or some people's claim that there's a shortage of resources, have been willing to invest financially in your safety and your security. They're procuring some floor mats or boot shoe sanitizers that I've also directed us to find funding for to match and exceed. These steps are also in concert with some recent publications again of what personal protective efforts I need you to be engaged in. Policing has always been an activity that involves us in some very dirty corners of the city, if you will, some very unsanitary conditions. In dealing with people who have drug addictions, mental health issues, and their own personal hygiene and so forth is very challenging and poses a risk to all of us. And your responsible use of personal protective equipment, donning gloves when you're dealing with field encounters, washing your hands with soap and water continuously whenever possible, using hand sanitizer, particularly before and after you eat, looking at your surroundings and ensuring that if the decision to have a quick bite to eat, that it's at a responsible location, a place that has good health and safety processes themselves. Your personal actions, again, I appreciate the League's emphasis on those practices as well. This is a shared responsibility. What you can do in maintaining your safety and then my responsibility to ensure that we have the right resources at each of our stations and that those resources are organized and structured in a way to be the best effort to keep our stations clean. As I put a number of posts over the weekend, this is not something that we're taking in some lighthearted fashion or we're looking at in some minimalist view. Instead, we recognize it's critical that we ensure as many efforts as possible for your safety and your health. Lastly, there are going to be circumstances in which you feel ill, that you may feel that you've got a skin condition or a digestive issue that I need you to go immediately and get good medical treatment. Your health, your safety is my primary concern. At the same time, when that happens to you, make sure that you notify a supervisor immediately. And I need our sick and IOD coordinators to be also looped into this. We have to look at what you might have or what you might pick up, a bug or otherwise. And we need to look at it in the broader context of how might the workplace be responsible or contributing to that circumstance and ensure that the safeguards in place in the workplace are there, they're solid, and if we need to increase or surge, that we do so. So appreciate your time and patience with me today as I've tried to explain what we know, what we're doing, and what I need from you. I ask each of you to go out and do a very difficult job in difficult and trying circumstances. And when systems fail or fall short and protections that we expect or need to have in place for you seemingly are not sufficient or are falling short, it's incumbent upon me as chief to step up, to own it, and to make sure that we act quickly to fix it. Thank you, God bless you, and be safe out there.